The cruise ship hit by a rare outbreak of the hantavirus will set sail for the Canary Islands. The 1,500-kilometer journey from Cape Verde Islands will take 3 to 4 days. Spain has granted permission for the ship to dock in Tenerife on Saturday. That's despite the objections of the island's regional leader. Now, in just a moment, we'll get a risk assessment from the World Health Organization. But first, here's an update on the stricken ship.
The world's eyes are on this scene, a Dutch-flagged ship, the MV Hondius, anchored off Cape Verde. 3 passengers believed to be infected with a rare virus spread by rats were evacuated Wednesday by air ambulance to the Netherlands. Before that, 3 others had already died. Dozens of other passengers from more than 20 countries are still on board in limbo amid a row about where they should be allowed to disembark. After the World Health Organization said Cape Verde could not handle the operation, Spain offered to let the ship sail to the Canary Islands, 1,500 kilometres to the north. But the island's regional leader says the ship's arrival could put the population at risk.
If the passengers are healthy and there's no risk of infection, it makes no sense for them to have to travel to the Canary Islands to be repatriated. They can easily do so via Cape Verde International Airport. So if countries want to send planes to collect their citizens and take them back to their home countries, why do they have to spend 3 days traveling to the Canary Islands? No one has explained that. No one has explained to us why.
In a news conference, Spain's health minister said that all possible precautions were being taken and insisted there was no risk to the Canaries.
Unless medical conditions prevent it, all foreign passengers will be repatriated through a European civil protection mechanism. The Spanish nationals on board, 13 passengers and 1 crew member, will be assessed and examined upon arrival in the Canary Islands and will be transferred by military aircraft to the Torrejon military base and the Gómez Ulla military hospital in Madrid, where they will receive medical care, undergo further examinations and remain in quarantine for as long as required by clinical protocols.
For the ship's passengers, the nightmare started over a month ago. The MV Hondius left Ushuaia in Argentina on the 1st of April. Soon, passengers started falling ill. 10 days later, a Dutch passenger died. His body was taken off board at Britain's St Helena Island in the South Atlantic, accompanied by his wife. She too later fell ill and died. Hantavirus was confirmed as the cause. The rare disease causes respiratory failure. It has no known cure. Back on the ship, a British passenger fell ill and was evacuated at Ascension Island to South Africa, where he's being treated. On May the 2nd, a month after the voyage started, a German passenger became the 3rd person to die. Experts are still trying to pinpoint exactly how the rare hantavirus, normally found in South America, got onto the ship in the first place and how it then began to spread. And everyone wants to make sure the repatriation of the remaining healthy passengers is handled in such a way that a wider hantavirus outbreak is ruled out.
Now, when this crisis began, the World Health Organization rated the public health risk as low. I asked WHO spokesperson Christian Lindmeier whether that still is his assessment today.
Yes, indeed, it is still the assessment. Let us not forget, this is a situation on board of a cruise ship, which is terrifying for all those who are still on the cruise ship, and has been deadly for 3 people so far. At least 2 we know that the hantavirus seems to be responsible for. And yes, it's making headlines, but it has not spread far. The hantavirus is not known to really spread far. It's something which normally only spreads from rodents to humans over droppings or urine. And only the Aedes variant is known to be transmitting in very close contact. So that's why we have 2 people on board who were sharing the same cabin, where one got infected most likely from the other, but it's also possible they both got infected in the original step. And we have very few symptomatic people so far, but contact tracing is ongoing. But yes, the public health risk is low.
So what can you say, you think, so far with confidence that you know about what made people sick on this ship?
It's a good question, and it's still under investigation, because it could be, as these initial 2 passengers were traveling Southern America, in Argentina especially, beforehand, where hantavirus exists, and we have a couple of thousand cases in Southern America each year. Not many, but as again, the Aedes virus is a serious one when it gets you. So they could have been infected already there, boarded the ship, and then one fell ill later. Possible, because the incubation time can be anything up to 6-7 weeks. It could be that one of them got infected and then infected the partner on board. So there are various hypotheses, but it seems to be coming off board originally. That's an important thing. We have been ensured by the ship company that there are no rodents on board and other things, but that seems to be the thing. And then, of course, a closed situation like a cruise ship is unfortunately something where people are very close in contact. They share the same quarters, they share the same dining facilities. That gives a breeding ground.
So, I mean, and I'm trying to ask you, because I think that this is where you're going with what you're articulating. How likely is it that the virus is spreading from person to person on board, which I understand is considered unusual for the hantavirus?
It's unusual in a larger quantity. It's not unusual in a close contact. And again, sharing the same cabin and being even partner eventually is a close contact. So it could be transmitted also if one person is sick and having a close contact with a neighbor, with someone sitting next to you, sitting across from me on a table. That could also be if I'm coughing, because it's triggering a respiratory illness. So I'm coughing, that may produce infection in somebody else. That is why contact tracing is now so important, and care of the people on the ship, both those still remaining and who are scared, and of those who have left the ship.
What would you advise passengers on the ship to do to protect themselves?
Well, right now, everything is done for them to protect themselves. I understand they are wearing protective masks, for example. They also have the opportunity to walk the ship every now and then, which is important because the mental stability may even be more affected right now for those on board than anything else. They should know that the world hears them and sees them, and that everything is being done to get them quick and safe back home.
Speaking of the world hearing and seeing them, how are you viewing the reluctance of some of the authorities in Cape Verde and now in the Canary Islands to allow people from the ship to come ashore?
Look, it's understandable. The same fear that the passengers on board have, that same fear grips people anywhere where they fear there might be something. The lack of understanding of this hantavirus is certainly also part of it. And let's not forget, COVID-19 is still in our memory, so people have a vivid memory of this and are being scared. But a solid health system, like the Spanish is, for example, is important and can help to treat these people. Let's not forget, one patient was now treated in Switzerland. Others will be received in the Netherlands. So the patients, those ill, need care and treatment, and those who are not ill need support and help to make them feel better and get home as soon as they can.
You mentioned it there that this situation is really bringing up some images reminiscent of the COVID-19 pandemic, where we had people confined to cruise ships to try and prevent contagion of that virus. Can you take us back for a moment and talk with us about the time in between and the lessons that might have been learned from back then that could potentially help now?
I think the biggest lesson to be learned here is the international cooperation. And that event now, where the cruise ship has been touching multiple countries, where the passengers and the crew on board are coming from many countries in the world, flights have been boarded, ships have been taken. So it shows you the multidimensional world we're living in. It shows you that no country alone can fight with any outbreak like this. It needs the international cooperation. It needs the sharing of the knowledge and the information and the virus sequences that we can. And in this case, where information was shared as soon as it was really available, this is so important, that this is the core work of what the World Health Organization exists for. So it shows us how important this collaboration. And when it works, we can prevent the worst. Unfortunately, we can't help those anymore who died, but we can take care of and help those who are living and who are not even sick.
Christian Lindmeier with the World Health Organization, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Well, Dr. Sofia Galani is an associate professor of public international law at the Panteio University of Athens. She's also an advisor to the Scientific Council of the Hellenic Parliament. Welcome to DW, Doctor. So the Spanish government has now given permission for the Hondius to dock in Tenerife over the objections of the president of the Canary Islands. Does Prime Minister Trump president in this case?
Yes. It will be the Spanish central government that will take the ultimate decision on the matter, despite of the reactions of the local government in the Canary Islands.
And this was at the request of the World Health Organization, which has what jurisdiction here?
It doesn't have any jurisdiction to compel any port states to accept the disembarkation of ill passengers on board vessels, but it is the competent international organization that deals with health matters, including with epidemics and pandemics. And they rightly requested the cooperation of Spain, but they do not have any jurisdiction to force any port states to open their ports and allow disembarkation to ill passengers.
Right. OK. So Spain could have said no. And in that process, how does it work? Does the WHO sort of look at a map and say, ooh, how about that place there, 1,500 kilometres away? Or do they send out emails and say, who wants this plague ship? How does that work?
Well, to be frank, there is no clear procedure on how these things work. It makes sense to an extent that it wasn't Cape Verde that will accept the passengers for two reasons. The first one is that once these people are disembarked, the port state, in that case it would have been Cape Verde, it has the obligation and the power, of course, to inspect passengers, to inspect cargoes, to inspect the crews, to implement non-invasive examinations, to proceed to disinfect the vessel if that is necessary. All these are measures that the port state can take in line with the International Health Organizations of 2005, issued by the World Health Organization. In my opinion, it would have been very difficult for Cape Verde to do all of this. And this is one of the reasons why it makes more sense for Spain to accept the vessel and the passengers. The second reason is that it does matter whether these people will be disembarked and what kind of access they will have to medical treatment. Again, it would have been very difficult for small and developing states such as Cape Verde to accept 150 people, to provide medical treatment, to provide specialized medical treatment wherever that will be needed. It would have been a very heavy burden for the state. And of course, the risk of not being able to contain the spread of the virus would have been very, very high compared to Spain, because Spain does have the capacity to deal with these issues much better than Cape Verde. And to be honest, Spain was not legally required to allow disembarkation. They do that on humanitarian grounds.
OK, but forgive me for interrupting, but they're kind of keeping everything at arm's length, aren't they? I mean, they say, yes, we can do all this, but you can do it on this little island that doesn't want you. And so just talk us through what you understand will happen, because these people, the ship docks, the people get off, they're put in quarantine and subject to all these checks. Then what happens? Do a load of planes line up to take them away to individual countries? How does that end of it work?
Once it is made clear that they do not carry the virus, then Spain, in cooperation with the flag state and possibly with the states of the nationality of the citizens, they will arrange for their repatriation. The first state that will be responsible, it will be the flag state. But then, of course, the states of the nationality of the citizens who want to be involved and have the capacity to be involved may also assist in the process of the passengers to be repatriated.
Thank you for talking us through that so clearly, Doctor. Dr. Sofia Galani from the Panteio University of Athens. Thank you.
Thank you.